Okay, happy holiday, everybody. Today is December 7th, 2014. Hope everybody's enjoying the weekend and getting ready to resume trading tomorrow. Let's take a look at some of the indexes and then we'll take a look at the stock. Right now, let's first look at the Dow Jones Industrial. The Dow Jones Industrial finished with another all-time record high on Friday. It closed at 17,956.79 here. And if we look at this, on a weekly chart, we still see this thing, trending within this particular channel, this price channel, this long-term price channel started from the low of October 2011. So it still seems like there might be a little bit more upside to go, even though the market is look kind of tired, and also we're seeing some negative breath developing. But that doesn't stop it from continue to rise until everybody get sort of euphoric. So basically, still looking for the possibility of maybe put in another higher high here. But anything is possible, and if we start to pull back a little bit, we'll probably see it at least come back down and retest some of these levels down here at the 17,700 and possibly work its way back down to the 17,279. But that probably going to take a little while. Most likely, maybe, if it's not the end of the year, or probably at the beginning of January, sometime in January timeframe. That's what I kind of, looking at if that possibility arises. Because right now, there seems to still have a little bit more room for this thing to run up, and you never know. Seems like there's a lot of money moving into some of these big cap value stocks. So we're seeing a little bit of a shift right now, back to the flight to safety kind of stuff. But still, in the S&P 500, we saw that S&P 500 throughout the day. It was trying to close negative, and then until the last, the few minutes before the close, it actually went and, popped up to a new high. So that was a little bit strange, see these little bit of a manipulation. But of course, it's not something new to us, right? We've seen this before, and especially on APX Friday, a lot of stuff could be going on, and basically, they were trying to close out the SPY, to pin it at 208, so it kind of pushes it up. So right now we're seeing a little bit of a record close. I don't know how genuine this record close is on the S&P 500. So we just have to wait and see to see is there any more, newer high on the S&P 500, while the Dow try to make it up to a higher territory. And looking at the Nasdaq is still kind of confined within this engulfing candle that we're talking about last week. We talked about this engulfing candle. It's trying to break through this particular level here, unable to get up to this multi-year high, make a new multi-year high. So, and again, printed a little bit of an inside candle here last Friday. So right now, we're still basically looking forward to see could it break above this 43, 32 level, or come back and break below this 42.74 to 75 area. If it break below that, we'll probably see a little bit of a pullback down to this 42.42, and maybe even on a little bit of a prolonged basis, then it probably come down to this 41.72, and ultimately we probably will see it retest this level down here, 41.13. And then on the Russell 2000, the Russell 2000, I'm able to make a, get up to this pivot high here the previous week, last week, and then last week it was trying to, trying to make itself back, try to come back and test this level, but it was unable to get up there. But it does look a little bit building up some kind of strength. So I wouldn't be surprised that it might try to make an attempt to, come up and test this pivot high here in the next week or so. If it doesn't pull back and, dip below this 1552, 1551 area. Okay, so I might be looking at the possibility of the Russell get back up here and try to get more people on the sideline to come back in, thinking that the market is still gonna go to sky high here. But definitely there are weakness inside underneath the market, so we got to be careful. And also it's the holiday season, so trading gonna start getting light, in the volume. So just kind of be careful although there's still a lot of good setup out there for the long as well for the short. So it's a little bit more of a stock picking market right now. So we just gotta be careful. Okay, so right now, let's take a look at the stock, and the first one is Apple. See this flash crash on Apple here, and the price is kind of engulfing within this big candle here. Right now, basically, Apple kind of got a little bit weak the last week. If we take a look at the intraday, basically we're looking at breaking below this level, this 117.45, and this flash crash really took it down. And this is basically a limit down circuit breaker number here. So it kind of bounced back up, unable to get back up about this 117.45, and essentially got into a low resistance at 117.20. So last week I was basically looking at this engulfing candle here on the intraday basis to break below this 115.61. Right, you see this break here, then right now basically looking for it to come back and test this 114.35. If it break that, then most likely you'll probably come back and retest this level 111.27 level. But if we come back up and take out this 117.20, then we probably could see it to maybe get back up to this 119.25 and possibly put in a new all-time high for Apple. So the key level to watch next week for Apple is probably this 114.35, and possibly, even though we get up to this 117.20, we really like to see it to take back this 117.45 level here. So those are the levels that we probably will keep an eye on closely on Apple to see where it's going to go. If it break down, then we'll probably look at this eventually come back down to test this 109.79. So it's be somewhere around this 110 level. And then Alibaba is still looking weak, and it seems like it's getting weaker. We talk about it come back up to this 120, and then it's kind of holding, trending down on this declining trend line here. And we're still looking for this thing to come down and test this 107.21. If we break this 107.21, I'm looking for it to come down to this 104, 103.90 area. Right, so right now, if we look at it on an intraday basis here, and you can see that it's kind of hugging this trend line coming down right now. Here's this support on this 107.21 level. And if it can't hold this level, we're essentially looking at this 103.90. Right? And this 103.90 is a pivot low. If we take out this pivot low here, I'm kind of expecting it to see it possibly come back down and test that IPO high, this day here. Right? This IPO high at 99.70. So right now, Alibaba is kind of negative. So the critical level we need to keep an eye on is 107.21. Okay? And Facebook actually got a little bit positive last Friday, or especially last week, because we were talking about holding up on this trend line here. If we take a look at the weekly basis, we're seeing this trend line. It's been hugging this trend line and trying to get back above this earning gap here. Okay, let's go back to the daily, and we kind of see this earning gap here, this level, right? I mean, this level here, trying to get about this this high here, this 76.74. Okay, so right now it's working on that level. It actually get 2 penny above that, but I wasn't able to close about that. We'd like to see it get back out with a little bit of a conviction and holding up at this level. And if we could get to this level, then we probably could see this thing maybe come back up, and we take this 78.27 and fill this gap. If it does that, then we probably will see it to maybe make another attempt to put in a new all-time high for Facebook. So right now the key thing is holding up this trend line here, because you see that even though it dipped down on the intraday, but it seems to be close, near or at, if not above this trend line here. So it's still pretty positive. And looking at some of the technical, it seems like Facebook is actually turning getting a little bit more strength to possibly move up. So I'm kind of keying off at this 76, 74 level. If we could break through that, I think there might be a good opportunity to start looking at some possible short-term swing long, and maybe swinging back up to at least to this gap fill here. And the next one is Twitter. Twitter is still kind of holding, trying to get the whole support be above this 38.59 here. It's just unable to get up to this 43. Right now it's kind of breaking below that a little bit. And if it continue to slide, I still expect it to come down to test this 36 level. Because if we look at this intraday, on an intraday basis, it seems to try to hold this level here. You see all this congestion here, right? It finally gave way on, the last hour or so on Friday. But the thing is, we kind of have to see how this thing hold up because it seemed like it want to come down and, test this level down here, 36. And if it break that level, I'm still looking at the possibility for this thing to come dip down to this 30 level and try to test these low down here. Then on Tesla, we're talking about Tesla holding up this trend line, right? This low trend line here. And it finally broke last week. And we're also, before that, we're looking at the possibility for this thing to come back up to this, 267. Right? If we go back to the daily chart here, looking at this pivot high, and it's trying to get up there, on this bounce off this is support here. Right? So right now, it's just unable to get up there, and it's putting in lower high. And right now, it seems like it's trying to form a head and shoulder pattern here. If we take a look at, this right here, you see this. Oops, let me get this line here. Okay, so can't get that. Let me do this. Use the another joint too. Right, so we see this baseline here on the neckline, and here's this head and shoulder pattern. So if we break below this level here, then it's could be heading down further. So the key level to watch right now is basically this 213, right? So I'm looking at that 213 level, and if it break that 213, we could see this thing go come back down and possibly dip down to this 180, or at least test this level here somewhere around at 200, for support. So the key level here to watch is see could it come down, first break this 219, and then watch this 213 once it move below this 219 area, because Tesla is looking a little bit negative right now. And same thing with Amazon. We're talking about Amazon on that the descending triangle here, and we're looking at the possibility of breaking out. But of course, when it was up here, we also said this thing is at the overbought territory, so it's kind of risky to take this breakout with any kind of seriousness, because always could be a fake out. And as it turned out, it broke out of this engulfing candle here, right? And then come up, tack a little, bump into a little resistance on this trend line, then finally broke through, and then on the next day just reversed itself. So right now it's trying to hold this 312, 313 level. If it breaks the 307, we're looking at to come back down and test this baseline here somewhere around the 284. Okay. And Google's been negative also for quite a while. It's been making these lower high we're talking about, and even though we got a little bounce right here that when it came down, held above this low here, this 511, but it's still kind of bumping up against this declining trend line. And right now it seems like it just continue to make a low high, lower low. And we got this big candle, kind of a little flush on Friday here. So the key level here is to watch this 518. If it breaks this 518, then definitely, we'll probably be looking for this thing to come down to retest this 511. Okay, but if it try to reverse the trend, we need to see this to not only to get back above this trend line here, but essentially we want to see this get back above this 552, 553 area. Okay, and even that, it probably will encounter pretty heavy resistance at this level. It's 567. Now Netflix is kind of interesting. And this earning gap here came back down and tried to hold this level here somewhere around this 577. Right? Okay. And when it broke, it got a little flush. Right? If we take a look at the intraday, got a little flush down to 337, and then right here, I was saying, on Twitter that, basically it's a tug of war between 344 and 348. So when it come back up on that 348, kind of fill this gap, so there was a little opportunity to, play a little bit of a swing long on this gap fill. But again, you see this trend line coming down, it's kind of bumping up against a low resistance here, and it's pulling back. So right now, I'm still looking at this thing to continue to come down. And again, I'm looking at this breakdown below the 348. If it break below 348, then I think there might be some opportunity to look at, set up for possible, going short on Netflix and have it, come back down and retest this 337 and possibly break below that and get down to this, this 333. And ultimately, I'm looking forward to not only to retest this 333, probably come down and test this 313, 312. Okay, and we're looking at some financial last week. The financial book out, last week, and put up the, a few chart the day after Thanksgiving, and we're talking about, that we should keep an eye on some of the financial, and one of them is Goldman Sachs, and we're talking about this, bull flag here, potential bull flag on this, after it print this day here. And it took a little while to develop this bull flag and book, and break out, and it finally broke into. So right now, we're basically looking at some possible target here. Is, if we look at this little short-term Fibonacci retracement, we could see that, up at the 618, somewhere around the 198 level. But if we looking at the, major move on this bull flag, and at the 80% level, it would be somewhere around 202.43, so somewhere around 202.50 area, or 207 at the 100% major move. Then if we look at the a little bit of a longer term Fibonacci retracement, on this particular swing here, and at the 127, we're basically looking at somewhere around this 203, 204 area. So, I think it's conceivably to see if the financial continue to move up and Goldman picking up steam, we could see this thing, move back up to above 200, or at least, maybe targeting somewhere around this 202. Okay. Then the other one was Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley would put out a chart, after Thanksgiving about this baseline, breaking out of this baseline and finally broke through here, right? And although it putting a little bit of an inverted hammer here, okay, so got to be careful. Maybe we get a little gap down or a red candle coming down, then you might want to lock in a little bit of a profit before it give it back all the way if if it continue to come back down. But again, if we're looking at this short-term fib, we could see this 141 somewhere around 38, and then 1618 somewhere up at that 39. And also we also have a little price channel that we're looking at on Morgan Stanley here that kind of project up to the 42. And this little bit of a longer term Fibonacci retracement, got a 127 that's projecting up at the 43 level. So we got a little confluence here somewhere around this 42, 43 area. So you might want to keep an eye on that for a little bit of a longer term. But near term, we probably be looking at this, somewhere in the 39 area, the 37, 30, 39. So at this 1618. Okay. And the other one was J.P. Morgan. We also put in J.P. Morgan on the same day that we post up the, that post up Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, and looking at this baseline breakout. So it finally gapped out on Friday and kind of broken out here. And right now, essentially, we're looking at somewhere with the short term or the near term fib is somewhere around 64, 65. And on the longer term, we see this 127, this long term fib line. Give a project a 64. So probably in the near term, we're probably looking at a target maybe somewhere around the 64, 65 area for JP Morgan. And the other one is BFA. BFA, we've been noticing this level here, this 17, or watching this 1740, for a breakout and get back up to this previous high, which somewhere around 1803. And if we take a look out here with this longer, fib line, and we see the possibility of moving up to this 127 at 21 level. And also, if we go back out and a little bit further back, we see some pivot high level somewhere around this 1910, 1986 area. So basically looking somewhere around, $19 to $20 if, in the near term, if it could break above that $18 area, this pivot high here. So those are, some of the level that we probably will keep an eye on for BFA, maybe up at the 18, 19 area. And finally, Citicorp. Citicorp was where, got a breakout of this little bit of a baseline here and made a move up to this 127, somewhere around 56 area. And then we also have a little bit of a longer term Fibonacci retracement up here. Or you could also take a look at it in terms of like a, cup and handle, right? Okay, breakout here, down here somewhere. Okay, and that kind of give you a little bit of a projection up at somewhere around the 64, 65 area in the longer term. But right now we're essentially looking at, maybe just this shorter term here. Let me zoom this back out. You know, okay, somewhere around this 58, between 58 area, this 127, because we have a little bit of a projection on this shorter term fib, somewhere around 57 and 58 on the 161. Okay, so that's basically it for the stock, and just keep an eye on the financial. Gold and the oil is still kind of wishy-washy right now. Maybe I give a little update in the middle of the week if something happened to that. I'm still kind of watching the oil for some kind of bottom forming. Right now, it doesn't appear to be forming a bottom yet. It might try to do something. So we just have to keep an eye on that. And gold is just kind of bouncing around. There's some critical level that we could watch for gold, but I'll give you an update maybe in the middle of the week. So good luck on your trading for the coming week.